After 11 years together, 5 of them as husband and wife, my life has unraveled in ways I never imagined. I was 22 when we met, a chaotic young woman drawn to his unshakable stability. Now at 33, I'm staring at the wreckage of our marriage, wondering how it all slipped away. Back then, he seemed like the anchor I'd always needed. He was dependable, the kind of man who balanced his checkbook, paid every bill on time, and never left home without checking the weather. If clouds loomed, he'd grab an umbrella. My own existence, by contrast, was a mess of missed deadlines and forgotten appointments. His order felt like a lifeline, and I clung to it perhaps too tightly. From the start, he was clear about wanting children. Early in our relationship, when we'd sit over coffee or take long walks, he'd talk about family, about building a future with kids. I nodded along, offering a smile and a list of baby names I jotted down. Names I thought sounded sweet, like Emma or Liam. But deep down I couldn't see it. Motherhood wasn't a dream I held. It was a role I agreed to play because I feared losing him. His vision of a steady, predictable life was so compelling that I told myself I'd grow into the idea of kids. I thought time would reshape my heart, align my desires with his. It didn't. The truth, which I buried for years, was that I'm not wired for parenting. That truth became the crack that split us apart. As the years passed, his hints about starting a family grew more direct. He'd mention school districts, recount stories of colleagues enrolling their children in gifted programs, or muse about the kind of home we'd need for a growing family. I'd counter with vague plans suggesting we travel first, maybe a trip to Mexico or a spontaneous weekend away. I was stalling and he let me. That was our dynamic. Him gently nudging, me quietly resisting. By our 3rd year of marriage, the tension was palpable. We lived in a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment, its large windows flooding the space with light. He'd spent a weekend renovating the kitchen, installing new cabinets with careful precision. But beneath the surface, our home felt hollow. Silence settled between us, heavy and unspoken. I'd stay out late, claiming I needed space. He'd retreat to bed early, leaving me to my excuses. I stopped offering them and he stopped asking. That's when I met someone else. He was a friend of a colleague, brought in to troubleshoot a finicky office printer. After he fixed it, I found reasons to keep talking to him, an email about a follow-up, a casual question about tech. I never mentioned my marriage, keeping my life vague, as if I could exist in 2 separate worlds. He was charming, light-hearted, with an easygoing warmth that reminded me of my husband in our early days. Before the weight of our differences pressed down, we started texting and I was drawn to the thrill of it, the escape. He never pushed, never demanded more than I offered, and that freedom hooked me. I'd tell my husband I needed air, step outside and call this other man, losing myself in conversations that felt like a reprieve. At home, my husband would be sorting emails or folding laundry. He always did his own, hanging his jeans by the waistband to avoid odd creases. That was who he was. Meticulous even in the smallest things. I got reckless. I sank deeper into this secret world, tuning out the life I'd built with my husband. In retrospect, I should have been more present, more aware. But I wasn't. My husband noticed the same number appearing on our phone bill, calls and texts at all hours. He dialed it. I don't know what was said, but the next morning he looked hollow, like sleep had abandoned him. Standing at the kitchen counter, he confronted me with quiet devastation. "I know," he said, his voice flat. "Leave me alone." I froze, unable to respond, my mind blank. He didn't want explanations or arguments, just space. He told me to stay out of his way and walked to the bedroom. By the next day, he'd moved into the guest room. Over the weekend, he opened a new bank account, rerouting his direct deposit. He'd always handled our finances, rent, utilities, insurance, groceries, while I covered minor things like the internet or my streaming accounts. The joint account had my name, but he was its heartbeat. Now he was cutting ties step by deliberate step. He told me he wanted a divorce, his words firm, unyielding. He wouldn't discuss it, wouldn't look at me. The other man, the one I'd been texting, faded from my life too. After that confrontation, I reached out to him, but the spark was gone. I didn't know what to say. My life's falling apart, but let's keep this going? It wasn't fun anymore, and he wasn't my answer. I didn't want him, and I didn't want a divorce either. I wanted to rewind, to return to the days when my husband's routines felt like safety, when I could lean into his stability without betraying it. But there was no going back. He'd shut me out, and I was left grasping at a life I'd dismantled. Days later, he moved out. 4 days ago, he packed essentials, work clothes, his laptop, chargers, his shaving kit, some tools. He took the good flashlight, the one he kept in the car, but left the drill. He didn't say where he was going, only that he wouldn't keep paying for an apartment I occupied alone. I didn't argue, I couldn't. I've been freezing up a lot lately, caught in moments where my mind stalls and I can't move or think. He stopped responding to anything unrelated to money. He asked me to send receipts for shared expenses, tracking everything for the eventual split. To him, I'm already a stranger, someone from a chapter he's closed. Money has become a harsh reality. My job at 22 hours a week barely covers anything. Rent eats 3/4 of my paycheck, and utilities are looming. I've been rationing the air conditioning, only turning it on when the heat is unbearable, and living off cheap frozen meals from the grocery store's discount bin. I tried calling my dad for advice but hung up before he answered. I haven't told anyone else. My family and friends always loved my husband more than me, and I'm not ready to face their judgment. The other man, let's call him what he is, the affair partner, knew something was off. After everything collapsed, I texted him, hinting at my situation. He pieced it together, admitting he'd suspected I was married. I asked if I could crash at his place and he went silent. Days later, I messaged again saying things were rough. His reply was curt. I'm sorry you're going through that, but I can't help. Then he was gone back to his life, Instagram posts of dinners, gym sessions, his dog. I saw him tag a woman in a story recently someone knew. Maybe he was always like that and I was too blind to notice. Or maybe he saw the mess I'd made and bolted. Either way, he's not an option. I asked my landlord about breaking the lease. The penalty is 2 months' rent plus the deposit, which I can't afford. I've been searching for a roommate, but no one wants to move in with someone mid-divorce, especially in a tense, half-empty apartment. One woman came to see the place and asked why I had a stockpile of frozen burritos and no furniture in the guest room. I mumbled something incoherent, and she didn't follow up. I'm stuck, tethered to a lease I can't sustain. Today it became official. He hired a lawyer. An email arrived from a law firm, his last name in the subject line. It outlined the division of assets, the end of our lease, and the untangling of our shared responsibilities. I read it on my phone, standing in the kitchen next to the coffee maker he chose. I've read it 5 times and I still don't know how to respond. I can't afford a lawyer or even mediation. I'm behind on last month's rent, scraping by. I reached out to the affair partner again, desperate, asking if I could stay with him, even just on his couch. He read the message but didn't reply. I followed up and he finally said he didn't think staying in touch was wise. I stopped messaging after that. I don't have the energy to chase someone who doesn't want me. To survive, I've started selling things, old clothes, electronics, even the nice cookware we received as wedding gifts. I tried pawning the stand mixer, but the shop offered me $40, the clerk barely glancing up. I've begged for more shifts at work, but hours are tight. Business is slow. The landlord gave me an ultimatum. Pay next month's rent or break the lease and be out by the 15th. I haven't told my parents. They'd say I deserve this, and they'd be right. I can't bear hearing it out loud. I've thought about reaching out to my husband, soon-to-be ex, one last time, begging for a conversation. But I know his answer. He owes me nothing, not after what I did. I broke promises I never meant to keep, first about wanting a family, then about our vows. I stepped outside our marriage, chasing a fleeting distraction, and lost everything. I still wake up expecting to hear his keys in the bowl by the door. I catch myself reaching for my phone to text him about running out of coffee or whether the water bill's been paid. Then I remember. There's no we anymore. I don't have a plan. I'm not on some path to redemption or self-discovery. I'm just here in a half-empty apartment, surrounded by the life we built and the choices I made. He's gone, and so is the other man. I always thought I'd figure things out before it came to this. I was wrong.